Alright, what's up, guys? I got a lot of requests to go over a VOD review as far as a herbivore versus carnivore jungler matchup goes. So, Olaf obviously has a really good early game, whereas HECARIM is more of a cleanup kind of champion. So, I figured I would go over this and let you guys know how to take advantage of this enemy jungler and how to keep track, how to counter jungle him, how to counter gank him, etc. So to go over this VOD review, I thought Silas was the perfect candidate as we have the same champion pool and we pretty much have the same playstyle. So his Twitch TV is Silas Plays LOL if you ever want to check him out. And yeah, we'll go over this VOD review together.
Yeah, so one thing to point out in the Olaf HECARIM matchup is the fact that HECARIM mostly always starts blue buff, which allows you to plan to invade his red side level 3 with certainty of finding him. Combined with Olaf's superior skirmish pre-6 with his axes and high base damages, this allows you to pick fights with full discretion. Always make sure to ping your allies accordingly to inform them of your intentions, so that they may provide backup if enemy laners begin to rotate to you or are suddenly MIA. Another thing to note is the importance of warning teammates in push lanes that HECARIM is in a position to ghost and charge them with his very highly punishing kit for extending champions, as Olaf doesn't necessarily provide a great counter gank to his lack of CC.
Right, so in this game, it was kind of clear that HECARIM's gonna start on his blue side because it would be really suicidal for him to start on our red. And my goal was just to full clear his Olaf because I like getting ahead by full clearing. And then just letting my top side know that HECARIM is most likely going to be there. So obviously in the Orianna vs Cassidy matchup, there's little to no kill pressure for HECARIM unless Orianna gets a kill and wants to push out the wave. And also in the top lane matchup, it's Gragas and the Jax. Obviously that would be a preferable lane for him to gank, so I would go over the assumption that he's going to gank there. Obviously after his red is done, so that's like about the 4-minute mark or so. So I would let him know to not die.
Also, it's pretty good to note that Olaf's allies are pretty safe in lane. Gragas can body slam. Jax is pretty much always going to push in, so there's not much pressure for HECARIM to gank top. Orianna has heal and flash, and mid has no ignite, so there's not much of a kill potential to counteract the heal unless Orianna is very overly extending. And Karma has exhaust, and she's just Karma with the big shields and movement speed burst, so unless they're fully extending, there's not much danger, so fully clearing is pretty easy to do. There's not much pressure to focus on lanes too early on.
Right, so my goal this game was to obviously go for the bot lane, which is Taric, Jhin, and they're both extremely immobile, but obviously, as you can see, I can't really move the map because this is a pre-recorded, but Karma and Ashe are going to push out this lane. But that's good for us because we know there's no way HECARIM's going to go for a bot lane gank because that's pretty stupid. But in theory, if we look at the raw footage, I just pinged him out, I believe, and looks like he's going for mid, and he is. That was his ping, so I don't know what's recorded. Anyways, he somehow blew Orianna's flash, which is fine. But now, based off the CS count, if we look, he has 6 CS. So that means he took blue buff, wolves, and red, and probably Gromp in there, or Scuttle. So that means his top side exposed.
So at this point, you can pretty much look to either counter gank or go for a proactive gank on Cassidy due to his weak pre-6 and try to blow his flash. Unfortunately, Olaf doesn't really have the tools necessary to ensure a flash blow just because he has weak early on ganks with no hard CC. But if you can catch someone with an axe and just chain hook them for the permanent slow, that's like one of the options. But usually on Olaf, it's safer to just go for the counter or the counter jungling early on, which is like taking Gromp, taking golems based on where the enemy jungler has been. But yeah, it's really up to you. You can weigh any option you like. Personally, I'd recommend looking into counter jungle just to put the enemy jungler behind, which is what I believe is the best method for low elos to climb right now. Yeah, that's pretty much where I stand on that.
Yeah, as you can see, this early game was really slow. Like, the enemy team did not want to do anything against me because they know what I'm capable of. So I kind of forced a gank here. I just ghost, hopefully going for something because I know HECARIM's back to his bot side, so this is like pretty safe. There's no way he would still be top here. And I chunk him for like 100 health. This wasn't that bad of a gank, so hopefully it helps out top. But in theory, I should be in my top side farming that. and not force ganks here.
Yeah, and remember, it's always a worth trade if you blow your ghost for a laner's flash, because that enables your laners to potentially kill them by themselves. And Olaf's ghost isn't necessarily the most valuable summoner spell. It's on a pretty short cooldown, and it's not exactly as game changing as a flash would be on a champion like Rek'Sai or Vi or something.
Right, with the tier 2 rush, as you can see, my ghost is on like on a 90-second cooldown, so it'll be pretty much up by the next time I gank a lane. But yeah, obviously this early game nothing's happening. I'm just like tracking down HECARIM with my team, and hopefully no one can die, because we do end up getting outscaled. Gragas cannot defend against Gragas 1v1. I mean, Jax cannot defend. I mean, Gragas can defend against Jax 1v1. Kassadin outscales Orianna, I would say, and then our bot side is 50-50. So my goal is to just go for a blue buff invade. If I can deny HECARIM this blue buff, then he'll be set behind tremendously. So I'm pretty much just getting ready for this. I just hit level 6, and now we have the timer on his blue buff. It's less than a minute, so I just buy and go get ready for that.
And it's always good to remember in this matchup, Olaf still has pretty strong control over HECARIM after level 6, just because HECARIM can't really fear him or use his chain CC to apply extra damage or win a skirmish. So you can always pretty safely invade his jungle, but don't commit too hard unless you know that your laners are in a position to back you up, and the enemy laners in their respective lanes don't have a way to trap you, because Olaf still has no way of closing a gap without just moving. So you can apply pressure, but make sure you just don't go too hard unless your teammates are ready to react.
Right, notice how I pinged on the way to their blue buff, because I want my team to be on the same page. I have bot lane pressure. I mean, as you can see, bot lane's pushed in, and mid lane is also pushed in, so this is a good way to invade. I also hit the plant in case I need an escape to get the extra health. And look who's there, HECARIM. So he's level 5 and level 6, he can't really contest. In a 4v4 they're gonna lose hard, because Cass does nothing, and I just chunk him out for free here.
Yeah, so this is a great example of just communicating with your team in solo queue, really putting the enemy jungler behind, especially on a champion like HECARIM, where at a deficit, the champion is basically worthless because he's just a big ball of stats, as most fighters are. He kind of needs that momentum to keep going, too strong. But you can see here just the blast plan is in perfect condition to be used. Get him out. So HECARIM is in a pretty bad spot. This actually gives Olaf leeway potentially to invade his red and just like double buff him. So
and I believe that's what I do.
They probably could have done it easier. It's an unfortunate top death, but I'm pretty sure you can still do it just because Jax is low anyway. And just great usage of Olaf's high Q damage to steal his race. And it's good to remember that, or Raptors rather, the XP on the Raptors is spread out now, so it's not just the big Raptor giving most of the XP. It's pretty much all Raptors give a pretty equal amount of XP, so the more you take, the more it matters. Don't really focus on taking the big one, just take as much as you can.
Right, so if you guys notice, I have like a lot of pressure and my mid laner is actually moving with me, and we have pretty much, we know where HECARIM is, obviously based off of his early game route, because obviously buffs are now on a 1 minute timer when they're about to spawn, so it was obviously even more of a good idea to invade. And then based off of the blue buff, we know that his red's going to spawn right after, and obviously I want to do the most I can early game because HECARIM will end up being more relevant than an Olaf, so I obviously want to also take his top side too. And now he's still level 5, I'm going to hit level 8 soon, but like the best part about invading him is that I get to get a blue buff for my mid, because you guys know I don't really give out blues, and I also get to farm my camps, so that's a really good way to get ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you can measure the talent, the capability of your mid laner by how proactive they are on the map, how they listen to pings, and if they have a CS deficit or advantage. If they have an advantage, it's always good to give them blue buff if you know they're not going to just feed their ass off with it. Give it to the enemy mid laner based on how well they're CSing compared to the enemy mid laner, and if they're doing well and they seem pretty competent, blue buff helps further accentuate that CS lead by allowing extra bowling. So it's always to watch out for how good your mid laner is to see if you should do the handoff or not.
Right, so if you guys look at the CS mark, I'm pretty much double HECARIM CS, and the best part about this is that he has no camps to farm, so he's basically in a position where he's forced to go for a gank. and that obviously has some risk factor into it. But the best part about that is that I get to just farm my camps and get an item advantage on him, and that will allow me to stop him from pretty much snowballing, because we know how HECARIM does in solo queue games. So obviously after this Krug camp, I'm going to respawn, and then with the massive gold I'm going to acquire, I'm going to look for something on the map. So let's see, what do I actually complete here? 73 CS by 10 minutes. It's pretty ideal if you're just gonna farm the entire early game, because obviously the enemy team isn't willing to put themselves in positions to fight us because they outscale, and their goal is just to farm out and outscale us. But
Yeah, in this example, he's just out pressured and out CS this HECARIM so hard. He can pretty much win any skirmish, especially when you combine it with Olaf's really high skirmishing potential with his CC immunity and high base damages. So at this point, there's pretty much unlimited options as to champion killing. Like you can dive bot, dive mid, if you get a pretty decent opportunity. But bot, I'm guessing he goes for the dive here and secures something. But yeah, it's just a really good example of how to put the enemy jungler so behind that you can pretty much just do whatever you want to do.
And I think we bait cast the cancel TV. I know it doesn't cancel, but we have no vision of HECARIM, I believe. So I think we back out, do we? No, actually go for this, because I guess I'm kind of fed.
So you bait that Terracle. After it's gone, not exactly sure how many teleports go off. So it looks like Steven's Jax teleported.
He canceled, or Gragas canceled, I'm not sure. But in theory, we got 4 summoners off, and we have pressure on the turret now. Because HECARIM is not showing on the map. He's still farming because he knows he's really behind. So I'm pretty much in a position where I can force dies while he's trying to get some gold and try to finish an item. Oh, there he is. This is the part where it's like really dumb of HECARIM. He uses ult to get over the wall, and I think I do end up killing him, don't I? Even though I miss access because I'm bad. I don't. Wow. It's fine though.
Actually garbage.
Yeah, the first axe was pretty much terrible. If I hit it, he's dead. If I don't, then he's not dead.
Yeah, but I mean, Olaf is effectively blowing every summoner on the map except for Jax's flash. So this brings a lot of good opportunities. It's kind of, I think due to the bot lane, it wasn't as ideal as it could have been, and top lost a lot of pressure just because he got solo killed, so there wasn't a teleport to match Jax's.
Right, I think the moment Ashe misses arrow, we just have to back out, because if she can land her arrow on Taric, then there's no, there's no safety procedure from the Taric ultimate, which gives your teammates invulnerability. But like, obviously we had the blue buff warded, so Orianna just netted kill there for free. And now, obviously, HECARIM just got denied two blue buffs in a row. I think I use this time to go to his red buff to deny that. Yeah, I do, most likely. Because like, as you can see, it's yellow, so it's spawning right now. I need to get their ace up.
And it's also really important to remember that when you ghost on Olaf or HECARIM to blow an enemy laner's flash, when your ghost is back up, their flash will still be down, so you'll have a pretty good opportunity to return to that lane and kill them. So always keep that in mind, because a lot of people see their flash and it's like, oh, I flash when he flashed, so it's probably back up. But ghost is a much shorter cooldown, so it's always good to keep that in mind.
Right, the whole point of going Lucidity is to just have as much pressure early game as possible. Literally every gank you're going to use your ghost, and it'll be back up in less than 2 minutes. So that's kind of the whole purpose of playing Olaf. Hopefully the games didn't get too late, or else you're going to be essentially useless. So I didn't play too well this game really, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty rightfully cocky here, just because you have to remember HECARIM is very weak in terms of burst damage and just sustained damage in general when he hasn't finished his Triforce. So usually a good HECARIM will finish his Triforce around level 10 or 11 under most circumstances. It can be 9 if he's fed, or playing optimally. I usually get at 9 just because I'm good at jungling, but most people are not. You have to kind of keep an eye out for when HECARIM finishes his power spike, and you can act accordingly.
Right, and the fact that we denied 2 blues has pretty much led him to the conclusion of buying a Hunter's Potion, which is 250 gold. That's like pretty much a kill. So only kill he got on the map, which was the ult over the wall, go for Ash, etc. That basically turned into a Hunter's Potion, so that will also make him take a longer time to complete his Trinity Force, which is obviously when HECARIM tends to become, well, outshine everyone else. But obviously we're at 15 minutes now, he doesn't even have it yet. I tend to have Trinity Force at like 13 minutes. So how behind do you think he is right now, as far as HECARIM jungling goes?
Yeah, he's pretty much fucked. The only problem is that Steven's Jax is pretty good at Jax, and your top laner got digged on. So this is a pretty common scenario in solo queue where maybe one lane is just like bent really out of favor, despite the rest of the enemy team being pretty behind. So what you want to do is kind of focus your efforts on one lane, group up, so you can nullify a single threat target, which is basically what the enemy team is right now. Like Cassidy has a kill, but he's only at 99 CS compared to Orianna's 120. And Cassidy has a pretty like notably bad mid game. So if you can focus your efforts around maybe mid lane because bot lane's already dead, or top lane, which is I think what's going on right now.
Right, so the moment we get the tier 1 turret is when we, in solo queue, the best thing you can do is get all outers, and since top's getting shafted, our goal is to get this tier 1 as well, and this will end up opening the map up for us. And it looks like he does end up overextending, but we don't. Do we get him? I think we kill him here because I just ult and get through everything.
Yeah, I mean this is
yeah,
one of Olaf's biggest strengths. You can kind of just like fuck any kind of CC with his ultimate. Just make sure you have a team backing you up, because Olaf doesn't always have the most damage, especially on a target at an even level, and with Ninja Tabby and Phage and 2 Doran's Blades. It's just good to play a champion a lot, like Olaf, especially Olaf, just to learn your base damages and learn what you can actually do, because knowing your capability is really important for turret diving, and just knowing what you can do in a clutch situation.
Right, and essentially my goal is to take down every turret I can before the game hits 30 to 40 minutes, because that's when I'll become irrelevant. And as we see, Cassidy's bot, and Ash and Orianna were fighting mid 2v2, so that basically gave us an easy 3v2 dive top, and that transitioned into 2 turrets, which is really good. And now we just reset and do the same thing bot side, unless we can look for an inhibitor play mid or top. But I think we just go for the safe route and go for the tier 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an ideal situation in which you can get, I mean, 1 turret is really good. It provides a lot of global gold to your team. But if you could get multiple turrets in a push, that's pretty much the most valuable possible thing, except maybe like a Baron. But once you've done that, there's just such a big goal deficit for the enemy team. You can pretty much always just group and fight around drag, or continue to push whatever lane has the most turrets. So yeah, in this situation, there's really not much the enemy team can do if they group up, despite the KDA looking kind of even, the global KDA. They just have such an item deficit on the enemy team that there's not much they can do if they just decide to be proactive with a team setting.
Right, and if you guys notice, we haven't really even gone for Dragon because it's really not even necessary. Our goal is to just deny every single blue buff to make sure Cassidy or HECARIM cannot acquire it to have more impact. And yeah, we go 4v5 while Gragas is pushing bot, because we're that much ahead now, and he really can't contain me.
How did that axe miss Tarek? What?
I have no idea.
I should have fucking hit him. Yeah, but I mean, this game was a product of just early game pathing in general as a jungler. That's pretty much all there is.
Right, and the fact that we're so strong to the extent of, forcing Jax to come not split push, despite him stomping topside, he's forced a group of his team, and we're still winning 4v5, and that gives us an inhibitor and probably another turret bot. It's pretty much game over.
And always remember, a pretty big gray area for most people is split pushing in solo queue, because they don't really know how to react to it. If you can't solo match a split pusher, and the enemy team has wave clear, there's not many options because you can't really siege too well, and the top lane doesn't have, your team doesn't have a match for their enemy fed split pusher like Jax or Gragas in this situation. So you always want to make sure you're grouping up and putting pressure on the lane or the split pusher that's like going for it, going for top or bot. But you always have to keep in mind the Baron factor. So try to focus around team play and making picks and just forcing group fights so that the enemy split pusher will have to react, or forcing a Baron or something.
Right, and the game is pretty much just scripted from now. We just go for a, I think, bot side push or top side push, because top wave is huge, but everyone's resetting. So we just basically farm our camps while our team is resetting so we can get that much stronger and look for a final push to end the game before obviously we throw, because you know how solo queue goes in North America. I mean, do the dragon just for the hell of it, because we're waiting on Orion and Karma. But the game is pretty much closed out in about a minute. I think they FF. I'm not sure.
Just add like 25 damage for the Baron Smite combo. It's fucking lit.
Hell yeah. What the fuck is Gragas doing? Just teleport into the game, God.
Yeah, I mean, HECARIM basically hasn't been a factor this game. 1 kill participation, and he's level 10 versus the level 13 Olaf.
Right, and pretty much goes off the blue buff, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just pulling the blue buff away from HECARIM, preventing that level 6 power spike. Just basically fucking all of his camps. Nothing HECARIM can really do unless he's very experienced. But even then, a lot of the time, if you're pathing well and you're putting pressure where you need to put it, there's not much he'll be able to do in this matchup.
I hate Tarek. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think even if Gragas the AFK would win, because their backline is extremely strong and I can just tank their front line. Oriana, shield, Karma shield, and then Ashe for the peel and disengage. So our comp was really good this game, and
yeah, it's a pretty good comp.
You just kind of went off champ select and the early game. Pretty simple, but aside from that, if you guys enjoyed and want to see more of these types of videos, perhaps featuring Silas, going over different matchups, just leave a comment below. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and we will definitely collaborate in the future. Check out his Twitch channel and his Twitter, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace, guys.